revolves around internet, no doubt about it. In business, education, and talking to grandma would come to a grinding halt without it. You might not be a fan of Twitter or the latest iGadget, but the Federal Communications Commission noted in a report back in November 14, 2014, that high-speed internet access has become a fundamental to modern life, whether you're on the job or at home or going to school. But the hard truth is there is a digital divide that particularly impacts rural America. An estimated 15 million Americans, primarily in rural communities, do not have access to entry-level broadband in their homes. This lack of high-speed internet is concerning. The Verge wrote on January 29, 2015, that as consumers demand more from their wireless devices, the need for broadband will increase, requiring robust networks to be in place in order to maintain functionality. As a nation, we simply aren't keeping up with this demand. As part of a 2015 Broadband Progress Report, the FCC has voted to change the definition of broadband so that 80% of the country has access. Which sounds great until you realize that 20% of the country does not have access to broadband internet. That total in 2015 now runs over 65 million people. Seeing the obvious need for change, President Barack Obama has pledged that 99% of American schools will be connected to reliable broadband by 2018. While this is admirable, there is still a need for more change. This is only addressing one part of the problem. Americans need to fix its broadband infrastructure to ensure that all citizens, especially those in rural areas, will have access to high-speed internet. So today, we will look at the causes, effects, and the solutions of the problem that, if left unchecked, could leave millions of Americans in the technological dark. Back in 2013, the Times magazine did a profile on the need for internet in rural communities and noted that the biggest hurdle to overcome was the lack of infrastructure. Today, that hurdle still remains. The causes of our inadequate infrastructure both stem from business interests, profits, and corruption. First, profits. In a 15-year study of internet usage in the U.S. accumulating this year, the Pew Research Center found that the rate of rural internet users has increased by 36% since 2000. But rural communities are have significantly lower usage rates when compared to urban and suburban areas. No business wants to upgrade its system where the business has to pay the startup fees, installation costs, and their monthly bill for internet access. The Associated Press of March 27, 2015 reports that national internet providers do not support high-speed internet in areas they don't believe are worthwhile. The result, most metropolitan areas in the U.S. have solid broadband networks, while many smaller cities and rural areas do not. The second cause is corporations. The second cause is corruption. National internet providers include Verizon, AT&T, Time Warner, and Charter. These huge telecompanies control who gets high-speed internet, but they typically do not attempt to fight over each other unless it's in a major market area. A December 2014 report from the U.S. Department of Commerce notes that 30% of the U.S. population has any choice at all when it comes to broadband services. But if you do, the choice is often between a huge corporation and a local business that simply cannot compete. Simply put, our rural communities have terrible high-speed internet access because national companies are cheap and do not want to provide quality service. Now that we've seen the causes of this problem, Let's look at the effects. Business Insider of March 27, 2015 reports that without appropriate high-speed internet, entire communities can go haywire. We rely heavily on our broadband. This past spring in Flagstaff, Arizona, broadband lines were down for 15 hours, causing ATMs to quit functioning. Stores couldn't process credit cards, and even 911 emergency services was lost. The impact of not having broadband internet is significant, especially in education and professional levels. First, education. On April 28, 2015, Insider Public Sector, a leading worldwide provider of technology solutions for schools across the U.S., identified spending money on broadband infrastructure as the #1 priority for the 2015 and 2016 school year. In the 2015 International Society of Technology in the Education Conference, FCC Commissioner Jenna Rensworth argued that students need to be connected at school and at home to help with their education. Without high-speed internet, students are at significant learning disadvantages. Schools are saying goodbye to computer labs while welcoming mobile digital learning carts that consist of laptops and tablets as an alternative to traditional computer labs. Schools are also moving towards the digital assessments by testing quizzes online to identify trends, student progress, and provide immediate feedback for students. In order for students to have a chance in the modern world, they need to be exposed to technology and use it in schools. Without high-speed internet access, huge pockets of students in the United States will be left behind. This is also impacting communities at the professional level. Today's business world is dependent on efficient, high-speed internet access. Internet bandwidth, real-time online collaboration, data backups, and business data transfers are vital pieces to modern business. Michael Cohn, business owner of Waterville Insurance Agency, relocated his business 5 years ago to Waterville, Minnesota, population 1,800, from the town of North Mankato, population over 13,000 residents. His relocating his business was for personal reasons. However, he did not anticipate the technological differences between towns only 30 miles apart. Internet speed, quality, and having to switch internet providers to keep costs from spinning out of control are disadvantages of businesses in rural America. After examining the causes and effects, now let's look at what we can do to solve this problem. If the Federal Communications Commission funded local startup funds, that one single thing would rapidly result in rural broadband goals being achieved. Local businesses and entrepreneurs would jump to the chance to improve their own communities. Instead, we have national providers challenging the FCC in court with teams of lawyers. Most businesses choose not to pay for the increase in internet service and stick to their dial-up services that save money but leave them woefully unable to keep up with the demands of the modern world. Back in 1996, Congress and the FCC determined that neither a completely free market nor government-related naturally monopoly was appropriate for the telecom industry. The second way to solve this problem is tougher rules and regulations. A report from the White House on February 2015 said, U.S. regulators approved the strictest rules on internet providers, who in turn pledged to battle the new restrictions in the court and Congress, saying they would discourage investments and stifle innovations. The new laws give the FCC more authority to police a variety of deals between providers such as Comcast corporations and between Comcast providers and paid prioritizing, such as Netflix. Internet providers will be banned from blocking or slowing any traffic and from striking deals, known as paid prioritizing, for a smoother delivery of traffic to consumers. The FCC also expanded its oversight to so-called paid prioritizing companies to make these companies connect to everyone. The FCC would review complaints on a case-by-case basis. Today we have looked at the causes, effects, and solutions of needing to fix America's broadband infrastructure and to ensure that all citizens, especially those in rural areas, have access to high-speed internet. A way you can make a difference is by writing your state representative expressing concern for the 20%, so 65 million Americans 65 million people in rural America without access to broadband internet, which impacts our schools and businesses.